such a cool photo. That might be one of my favourite pictures of your dad in a race car, not upside down.
Not upside down and not being passed on the last turn at the state title.
How old were you when this stuff happened?
This car, I was about...
Forget that. When you these moments you're talking about with your
moments.
father racing and getting past and stuff, how old were you?
Oh God, I don't know.
Not many.
Remember, yeah, not very old.
So how do you know this then?
Living with Brooke Tatnell.
So Brooke tells you the stories.
Brooke always told the story to just rile Dad up a little bit in the living room at night.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Very nice. Yep. This car looks so good. I have so many great memories of this car and the launch. And you were how many days, months, whatever's old when this car was launched?
I think about 4 months old. So not very old. Freshly baked.
It's a sweet looking car. I'm so glad that, as we all are, that Sean does this stuff and has a passion for this. And the cool part is the storyboard is just down there as well, which tells us a bit about it. What do you know about this car? Without reading the board.
Without reading the board, to be honest, not that much. Obviously, because I was so young.
Yep.
But no, Sean and the boys have done an incredible job with it. I mean, hours and hours of research and time and effort have gone into it. So no, I'm very, very proud of, especially Sean, for coming up with the idea.
When was the first time you were aware of it?
He sort of touched on the subject probably last year that he was thinking about doing it. But then I got a text message just before Christmas saying, have you ever driven a sprint car? Which was quite weird. I just thought, oh yeah, maybe he's going to throw myself and the girls in it for a sponsors day. But then Boxing Day, I rocked up to the Speedway track and he took me aside and said, this is what I want to do and this is what I want you to do. So the anxiety sort of kicked in a little bit because I've never been in a sprint car. But no, the excitement was just through the roof, and the honour as well of being able to do it.
What was that like, being in the car?
So the first time being in the car was Brock Searfoss's spare car that they race over here.
Yep.
It was petrifying.
Yep.
I better not swear.
No. Good
petrifying.
girl.
Yeah,
yes.
I know. Especially starting it. I've never actually sat in a sprint car while it's been running before.
Yeah, right.
Surprisingly, with all the family history in my 28 years. So yeah, no, it was awesome. I have a newfound respect for all those drivers, that's for sure.
And then, of course, the cool part is to actually drive this thing in front of the field.
Yeah, so we came
and even made your Uncle Ryan cry. Now,
now,
if that's not the most stunning thing I think I've seen in sprint car racing.
I know. I kind of feel a bit bad that they got it on camera, but nah, it was a touching moment for the whole family, and the fact that we had to keep this a secret from Nan and Pop and Ryan and everything was super, super hard because we're such a close family, but no, the look on their face was awesome.
And you got pushed off by the John Day boys, who are very special, extended family for you, Taylor.
Yeah, definitely. So when I went out for wheel packing and for the feature, Roscoe actually pushed me off. So Roscoe gave me my first ride in a John Day ute as well. We, whenever I go up to Exmouth, he's always up there. So yeah, throughout my life, I've heard of pretty cool experiences.
Yeah, the car looks so good. He's done such a typical Sean job of it, really, because we expect nothing less when he does stuff like this. What's it been like since, now that the word's out and people have seen it? What's the feedback been like for you?
Because it was plastered all over TV, I've had a lot of friends and people from footy sort of come up and say, oh, so are you going to race? Definitely not. But no, it's still surreal that I actually got to drive this thing and be in Dad's race suit.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Look at that, hey?
For the day. It's surreal. It's hot and it's heavy, so...
Yeah, this is the old days when there was pockets in race suits and things.
Pockets and stuff, and you had your blood type.
I see that. You didn't even know what his blood type was.
Didn't even know what his blood type was until I put the suit on, so yeah, it's quite cool.
Quite cool. Sean, can you come over here for a second, please? In amongst the amazing Hello, young lady, sitting there behind yourself with all those classic Holdens. Sean, why this car? There was a lot to choose from. Why this one?
Oh, look, Shane and myself raced the Speedway that couple of years. Kenny was our driver. Rachel was standing on the front wing. Renee was being cuddled by Dot. Our kids grew up that year. It was an iconic car and it was different to all the others.
Yeah, and it was because we're talking about coilovers and all that sort of stuff and different measurements. And Shane, with his history with racing with Bob Trossel, brought some of that with him, right?
Yeah, the car pre this one was a coil car, and they didn't have too much success with it. Very inconsistent. But Shane, ever the innovator, wanted to try something different. And I remember the conversation, and he said I'd never driven a 30-inch non-down tube car, and he wanted to try one. So, and it was a lot more standard car than what they'd been trying before that.
Because non-down tube stuff was flying in the face because it was all down tube stuff for quite a long time there, wasn't it?
Oh, there was a space there when Wolfgang and Kenny Jacobs and Sammy Swindell were non-down tube, Schnee,
Yep.
Gambler, Stealth, all that piece around there. And Shane wanted to try it, and he talked it through with Bob and Jeff and those guys, and came out with what you sort of see now. So and look, it was just a privilege to be able to do it.
The photo that we've got down here is so good. I'm guessing that's Bunbury. It looks like Bunbury to me, just ripping the thing in. Actually had a bit of attitude. My favourite memory, I think, was when he was in the Speedweek finale at Bunbury. Kenny and him were battling it out for the points championship, and he rode in the Speedway on his Harley.
His first Harley, I think.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Through the crowd. And Kenny was in the boxing outfit, and Speedweek was it's big now, but it was a big deal back then with Bunbury and Claremont each night, wasn't it?
Oh, it was the biggest. It was the culmination of our entire year. Back then we used to do the World Series with Max as a prelude to Speed Week with Kenny Jacobs and or other Americans, but certainly Max and Kenny back then were our drivers, and to race against Shane and the Bunbury Toyota team. And you knew if you were racing with them, you were going pretty good.
Bit of history between these two cars, that's for sure. Was there anything that was difficult in the rebuild in the resto of this car?
Everything.
Sounds like Shane. Sounds like your dad. Everything
Sounds
was
like
complicated.
everything.
Yes.
Everything. And then the Thursday before we were going to run it at the Motorplex, I went to start it up, and because it had a late model engine in an old model car,
Yep.
It was all bound up, so I'd take the motor out of it again, which was, and the motor only barely just fits between the frame rails because a bit later model engine than they ran back then.
Wow.
But now it's got the period correct motor in it,
So cool. I vividly remember the launch. This was done at the Sanctuary Golf Resort, the series launch, and that's one thing Shane was always particularly good at was the finish on things.
The finish was good or exceptional, to be honest. At that stage, there was only 2 or 3 teams at that level. Shane and Bunbury Toyota Racing being one of those. Now everybody's at that level. But, we, through our parts business back then, provided the majority of the parts for the car. And Shane and I were good mates, and I miss him.
Yeah, we all do. Chook, you look great in that suit. How good is that? What an amazing experience to see this car brought to life. And so when will you be racing it again? We're going out to Ellenbrook, are we? Or
Never hopping behind the wheel.
Never. What?
It's petrifying. It's horrifying.
She's got racing in her blood,
That never's probably not quite correct.
Yes.
We're not going to do it every year. Obviously, the 10-year anniversary of Shane passing is coming. We'll do something special with it then if the family wants to.
Yep.
It's destined for the Bunbury Museum now for a while. But because we built this one so that it could run, we can roll this out for special occasions. Like I say, we won't do it every year. But, if you look at the photos that we've recreated, and there's one with all 4 crickies there, and to do that maybe with their grandkids or their great-grandkids.
Yeah.
Something like that would be pretty special. But
Who's going to have the cigarette hanging out of his finger like Daryl?
Oh, God.
That was a super cool. I think Fat Rat took that photo. That was
Yeah.
epically cool.
yeah.
You've done a great job, Sean. Car looks absolutely mint. You're going to have to drive it again.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, it was fun, but I'll never race. Never race.
Never say never, Sean. Especially in this shop.
Never say never. But look, Taylor, my daughters, my wife, everybody that supported it. We went out to the Speedway a few weeks before and let them all have a go so that we could get a little bit up to speed and it wasn't quite as daunting on the night. And just to have the feedback that we've had since then, and to have so many people emotionally in touch with it, and it just brings the whole Krikke thing and the four boys back to life.